The evening air had a crisp edge to it, a soft hint of autumn drifting through the city streets. I arrived a few minutes early, giving myself time to calm my nerves and maybe mentally rehearse not saying anything about obsidian samurai wipes, loot drops, or boss mechanics. I traded my usual workwear for something cleaner, sharper, black slacks, button-up jacket. Nothing flashy, just enough to show I'd put thought into it. Dev, though, she made me stop breathing for a second when I saw her waiting outside. She wore a simple navy dress, cut just right, with a jacket draped over her shoulders. Her hair was done differently too, looser, softer, framing her face. It wasn't overdone, but it was deliberate. She dressed like it mattered. And for that, so did I. We walked in together, got into a small booth with low lighting. Candles flickered on each table, giving everything a quiet, intimate feel. The waiter handed us menus, and after a little polite nodding and murmurs of thank you, we both dropped into silence. So, I said, clearing my throat, "Do you come here often?" She smirked, couldn't help it. "That's your opener." I spread my hands. Classic. Timeless. Guaranteed to get a smile. She tilted her head, considering. "You might be right." Silence lingered again. I caught her eyes for a moment, then glanced down at my menu. "You know," she said, leaning slightly forward, "we promised no shop talk tonight. No code, no testing, no bosses." "Right." I nodded firmly. "Strict ban. Nothing about anything." Her lips twitched. "That covers a lot of ground." "Exactly. Makes it easier." The silence came back again, but it wasn't as heavy this time. We both scanned the menu like it was some ancient puzzle neither of us wanted to mess up. Finally, I asked, "What's your go-to comfort food? Like, end of a long day, you're wiped, what do you reach for?" She blinked, then smiled faintly. "Miso soup. Simple, warm." "Yours?" "Honestly, burger. Fries. Something greasy enough to undo the entire day." That pulled a laugh out of her. "So, balance. You undo." I reset. "Exactly." I grinned. "We're already compatible." She rolled her eyes, but I noticed she didn't disagree. By the time our meals came, hers a delicate plate of grilled fish and vegetables, mine something heavier. We found little safe topics: books, music, the weather, even our favorite places in the city. Nothing deep, nothing dangerous, just soft layers of conversation slowly peeling away the awkwardness. When the waiter set the plates down, Dev gave me a tiny, almost conspiratorial smile. "Well," she said, adjusting her napkin, "here's to Friday night." I lifted my glass of water like it was champagne. To Friday night, we clinked glasses, both smiling, both still figuring it out. But for the first time that evening, the silence that followed felt comfortable. The clink of forks and low murmur of the restaurant filled the silence between us. I cut into my meal, buying myself a few seconds of courage before I said it. "You know," I set my fork down, leaning just a little closer across the table. "You look really good tonight." Dev's fork paused halfway to her lips. Her eyes flicked up to mine, wide for a second, then she quickly hid behind a sip of her drink. When she set the glass back down, her cheeks were noticeably warmer. "You were not supposed to say things like that," she said lightly, almost scolding, but her smile betrayed her. "Why not?" "It's true," I countered, shrugging. She shook her head, biting back another smile. "You're too direct. And you're too modest." That earned me a roll of her eyes, but she didn't deny it. As the food settled in, the conversation got easier, like we'd finally broken through the wall of awkwardness. "So," she asked, resting her chin on one hand, "what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done on a first date?" I laughed instantly. "Oh, that list is long. But once." I sneezed so hard I spilled soup all over myself. The girl spent the rest of the night trying not to laugh every time I leaned forward. Dev covered her mouth to hide her laughter, shoulders shaking. "Please tell me you at least had a napkin." "An entire stack," I admitted. Didn't help. Her laughter spilled out, warm and genuine. "That's terrible. And yet, somehow very you." I smirked. "And what about you?" She hesitated, clearly reluctant, then sighed. "Fine. One time, I went on a date, and the guy tried to impress me by quoting Shakespeare. But halfway through, he blanked and looked at me like I was supposed to finish the line for him. I burst out laughing. Did you? Absolutely not, she said firmly. I let him drown. I shook my head, still laughing. Savage. I like it. As dessert menus came and went, we didn't notice the time slipping by. Every little story, every quiet laugh, every glance across the candlelit table layered another piece of comfort between us. At one point, I caught her staring at me when she thought I wasn't looking. She quickly looked away, cheeks flushing again. You keep doing that, I said, grinning. Her brow furrowed. Doing what? Blushing. I do not. You do? I teased. And it's actually really cute. She groaned, hiding her face in her hands for a second, but her laughter gave her away again. You're insufferable. Maybe, I said, but you're still here. I took a deep breath, the ambient hum of the restaurant fading into background noise. Dev, I kind of like you, I said, keeping my voice low but earnest. I think you're smart and pretty. She groaned loudly, leaning back in her chair, one hand covering her face. Why did you have to say that now? I blinked. Did I say something wrong? Yes, she admitted, voice muffled by her hand. But not what you think. I frowned, leaning in. Then what did you mean? She peeked at me through her fingers. I actually find you attractive too. But it's probably just a fleeting thing. We work together, for one. That alone is messy. I nodded slowly, pretending to process. Okay, makes sense. But there's more, she said, leaning forward again. I'm a plus-size girl. I'm awkward. I'm not great at communicating. I nodded blankly, but my mind had already started its own chaotic loop. I swear, in that moment, my brain went rogue. I started planning a wedding in my head, the type of venue, the guest list, how to balance seating between coworkers and friends, the perfect menu. Then the house, at least 3 bedrooms, a study for me, a gaming room for, well, me again, really. Kids, how many? 2 seem manageable. 3 would be fun if chaotic. Should we get a dog too? And then the darker thoughts. How long could I hide all my weird quirks before she tried to have me committed? My life with her in vivid motion, playing out like some hyper-realistic simulation, all before I'd even finished dinner. I blinked at her. Wait, did I just check out of the date? She leaned forward, a sharp now. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Did you even hear me? I shook my head, laughing nervously. I sort of did, but also not really. My brain just started running simulations. Dev groaned again, leaning back. Of course it did. You're impossible. I smiled sheepishly. I know, but hey, at least I'm thorough. Her lips twitched, trying to hide a laugh, and the tension in her shoulders eased slightly. You really are. And okay, fine. That was cute in a terrifying, planning every detail kind of way. I grinned, feeling the weight of the confession lift slightly, even as my brain kept spinning like a relentless game engine. Dev stirred her drink with her straw, her eyes darting between me and the melting ice. She let the silence linger a moment before speaking again. You know, she said carefully, when you checked out earlier, you had this goofy grin plastered on your face. It didn't exactly match the whole "I'm giving you reasons this won't work" speech I was unloading. I rubbed the back of my neck caught. Yeah, about that. Her eyes narrowed slightly, curious but guarded. So, what were you thinking about? I laughed under my breath, realizing there was no backing out now. Honestly, I was planning our wedding. Her jaw dropped, eyes widening. You what? I raised my hands defensively. Okay, that sounds way crazier when I say it out loud. But my brain just went there. House, kids, even how long I could hide my quirks before you thought I was insane. The whole 9 yards. For a second, she just stared at me, completely floored. Then, slowly, the corners of her mouth twitched. You really are insane. I shrugged, smiling faintly. Probably. But there's something I didn't tell you earlier, something I should have said before tonight. Her expression softened, though her guard was still up. What's that? I looked her square in the eyes, no jokes this time. You're the reason I took this job. Not the paycheck, not the lab, not even the chance to test out the craziest VR game I've ever seen. It was you. Just being able to see you every day was enough. Dev's breath caught, her lips parting slightly. She blinked once, twice, like her mind was buffering the words. You can't be serious. I nodded. I am. I just wasn't confident enough to say it until now. For once, the usual flush of red on her cheeks wasn't embarrassment. It was something softer, warmer. She looked away, biting her lip, fighting a smile. Of all the stupid, reckless things you've done, this might actually top the list, she muttered. I leaned forward, smirking. And yet, you don't sound mad. She shook her head slowly, finally meeting my eyes again. No, I don't. The night was cool, quiet except for the sound of our footsteps echoing against the sidewalk. The glow of street lamps painted soft halos over us, each one marking a pause in the rhythm of the evening. Earlier, I confessed, told her in a rush of honesty, that I felt something for her, something I couldn't ignore anymore. She hadn't run, hadn't recoiled. She just let it hang there, and somehow the dinner carried on. Now, walking side by side, every step felt charged. Dev tucked her hands into her jacket pockets, head tilted slightly down, but I could see the warmth on her cheeks even in the dim light. Neither of us said much at first. We didn't need to. My confession was still between us, louder than words. We paused at the same little bridge over the river. She leaned on the railing, her reflection flickering in the water. I stood close beside her, close enough that our arms brushed. Finally, she spoke, her voice softer than the river below. You meant it, didn't you? What you said earlier. I nodded slowly. Every word. She glanced at me, eyes searching mine like she wanted to find the catch, the joke, the part where I'd pull away. But I didn't. I couldn't. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. You're impossible. Yeah, I said, grinning faintly. But you didn't say I was wrong. She laughed then, a quiet sound, but her eyes didn't leave mine. In that laugh, it felt like the beginning of something. When we reached her building, she hesitated on the steps, turning back to me. The quiet between us stretched again, heavy but not uncomfortable. I cleared my throat, suddenly more nervous than I'd been all night. So, would you maybe want to do this again sometime? Her answer was quick, but not rushed. Steady. Yes. That one word hit harder than any victory, any loot drop, any boss cleared. Good, I said, smiling, unable to hide the relief in my voice. Because I'd really like that. Her cheeks warmed again, but she didn't look away. Friday wasn't so bad after all. Not bad at all, I agreed. She lingered a second longer, then gave me one more smile before slipping inside, leaving me on the steps with my heart racing and the night suddenly feeling brighter.